Straw Hut Media.
That's enough for that confession. Again, I told you guys I was gonna blab on, and that's exactly what I did. Welcome to episode 2 of the Jordan Jones podcast. We are available again on all streaming platforms as well as the video version on my YouTube channel, Jordan Jones. On today's episode, we will be diving into toxic thoughts, boundaries in a relationship, losing a loved one, and keeping your family close. All right, so let's get into the first confession of today's episode. This person just wants to know some tips and tricks about toxic thoughts and overthinking. So, first of all, I wouldn't really be where I am without the advice from my friends and family. Sometimes I do get through stuff on my own, and obviously that's good and something that everyone should be able to do. But honestly, opening up to people and being able to take advice is really a good thing. And I fear that if you don't really open up to people, your mental health can really decline and you can really struggle. And it could be something that you have an issue with, your girlfriend or your boyfriend. And if you do hold that in, it can really harm and hurt both of you. And whether that's opening up, like I said, to your friend or your boyfriend or your mom, or opening up to someone else that can maybe just make you feel better. Maybe it's just overthinking. Most of the time when you don't open up to someone or you don't talk about it, you honestly will start creating these fake scenarios in your head. This whole scenario that is totally different than what actually happened. For instance, something that I did struggle with, I feel like a lot in summer, was I would go on Twitter and it would be like, when you start hating your girlfriend trend, toxic tweets. There's some accounts that are the most viral accounts that will literally make you overthink. It's just not healthy. I swear these people just they become viral because people like these tweets to send hints to people. And it's just it is so toxic. It is so childish. And it honestly will hurt someone so much. I remember seeing tweets and just being oh my gosh, do I do this? And am I like this? And did he do that? And it would literally make me not sleep at night. I would just literally just spiral and spiral, and you'd see something, or you just even compare yourself to so many girls. I feel like Twitter is the most toxic, and people think it's TikTok. I don't know. I just remember struggling seeing tweets, and it made me feel insecure and uncomfortable and nervous, anxious. It was just not good for me. And literally my boyfriend did nothing. It was just I would see things and I would overthink. I wouldn't even tell him about it. And again, that's something that, I wish I would have, mentioned to him, if I seemed off or anything. But I did probably maybe an even better thing. I just deleted it. I don't go on Twitter. I don't have Twitter technically. I technically have it because sometimes my mom will be oh, just do the news. And that's technically my only news source. But I have not gone on Twitter in months. I feel like my mental health is so much better. It wasn't anything that was my boyfriend's fault. And if I had a problem with something, I definitely would have went to him. But this was totally a me thing, and sure, an insecurity thing or an anxious thing. I just feel like I made a really good choice by not looking at it. And I feel with TikTok and all these apps nowadays, when you're comparing yourself or you keep seeing something that you don't like, you see something and it will remind you of something, just don't do those things. Don't look at these things. Don't go digging for these things. It will help your relationship or yourself or your life so much better. I feel our generation will stalk and it does no good. It literally only will harm. Not that I was stalking or anything on Twitter. I don't do any of that stuff because that is so 16-year-old, the stalking thing. But I just wanted to mention it because it's another one of those things where if you keep seeing something, I don't know. I just felt if I opened Twitter, I would open it knowing all this sad stuff I'm gonna see and this depressing tweets. So it's I opened it willingly knowing that, and then finally decided probably 2 months later, I'm why am I opening this? Why am I looking at this? It's not helping me. Now that I have just turned that off, I have been so much better. My relationship has been better because I don't have literally anything in my mind of these fake scenarios and situations, and I can just live in the moment and be happy. And if something comes up, I can handle it. That made me realize a lot, and that's a really good topic for me to talk about. Basically, I could talk about this all day. So thank you for asking this question and wanting some advice. That is all for now, but I'm sure we'll be touching on this again soon. All right, this one, I feel like I'm probably going to blab on for a really long time because this is such a good question. This girl asked, I have been feeling a little bit neglected for my boyfriend because he has so many things going on, and I just want to feel like he makes a little bit of time for me. How can I ask him, or what should I do? Whew. This question, I feel like I can honestly give some really good advice on this because in my relationship, we've both just really focused on priorities and boundaries because that's really important to us, and that's something that we've basically stated from the beginning, and I feel like that's really something that needs to be talked about, especially in the beginning, because those are kind of like the roots of your relationship. I'm so proud of myself that I didn't say roots because I'm from Michigan. My mom says roots, so roots. Whenever you start a relationship, you have to say everything that, means the most to you. And I feel like every girl wants to feel like a priority and every guy wants to feel like a priority. So that's just, again, something that we talked about from the beginning. I've basically always said this, and this is kind of how I brought it up. I feel like you should both be in the top 3 rotation of priorities in each other's life. I'd say friends and family. I'd say work, life, and then your relationship. And I say rotation because that can change by the day, by the week, by the month, because sometimes you'll be number 1, sometimes you'll be number 3. But I really don't see a reason or an excuse of why your relationship shouldn't at least be in that top 3. And again, that can totally just be my personal preference. I don't want my boyfriend to feel like the last thing on my to-do list, and I don't want to feel like the last thing on his. That is a totally normal request, and that shouldn't be shamed or dissed at all. And I'm just a lover girl and a giver, and I believe in getting what you're giving and vice versa. And again, there's so many things that can go on. Like in the beginning of my relationship, I feel like I just really needed my boyfriend, and he really stood up for me and really pulled through and did all these different things for me. And currently right now he's in midterms, and it's like I kind of have to step up. And so sometimes the effort goes up and down a little bit on both sides. But I would just say, regardless of what life has to throw at you, if you commit to being in a relationship, that's what you commit to. And if you feel like, oh, I have to see her and oh, I have to plan this, it's just that's not a good mentality or fair to be in a relationship anyways. And I'm sure everyone knows that. But with that being said, it is okay to need space and be alone. This is just something that probably happens with everyone. You're like, okay, I've seen you for 2 weeks now. I need a minute, With that, I am totally an anxious attachment. So if my boyfriend were to come to me and say, hey, I'm just gonna be alone for the next couple nights, with no reassurance, I literally would just spiral because again, like I said, I'm that anxious attachment and I totally understand that. And that's something I'm trying to work on every day. But I feel like if you need that space and you need to voice that to your partner, that's not a bad thing. But I feel like having something to look forward to is something that I need in my life. Because if you're, stressed out with work and school and you want to just hang out with your boys or have fun or do this and maybe just watch your Netflix show and you say this on Saturday, but on Friday, I would love to go to the movies with you. Or I would love if you came over and had a sleepover. I need something to look forward to because taking your time and being alone and needing space is totally normal in a relationship and it happens to everyone. But that's just something that if you don't say anything like that, I'll literally be stressed, I'm anxious, I'll overthink. I'm he doesn't love me anymore. But if he says, hey, I'm gonna watch my show tonight and might not be on my phone, but I'll call you later. That's all you need. You just need something to look forward to. Your communication needs to be heightened if your quality time is going to be lowered. Wow. making time for each other is obviously important, and everyone's schedules can always get mixed up. So I would just say my advice to you is just to have an open conversation, or ask him to just have more communication with you on, what's going on in his life. Because even if he just says, oh, I have this, this, and this, and this coming up, that's also kind of him insinuating like, I will be less available. I will be kind of focusing on other things right now. But you just have to be like, hey, if you are going to be busy and anything like that, I support you, but I need something to look forward to. That is totally understanding. And if not, he'll just feel like you support him so much that it's no problem. You're going to be lifting some stress off of him as well, because when your boyfriend or your girlfriend gets busy, you kind of get added pressure on you with your relationship, because then you're able to not give what you usually do. So if you're a supportive partner and you guys have open communication, everything will be able to flow better. And so my advice, again, is to just have better communication, ask for something to look forward to, or you can plan it too. I know you've had a busy week. I'll come over and make dinner tomorrow. You guys will have a better bond, a better schedule, a better understanding of each other's time and quality time, because then you'll actually be able to have quality time. Just no matter how busy you guys get or whatever excuses happen in a relationship, just know that you cannot become careless of your partner and, oh, I'm so busy, I'm going to deal with her later. No, it's like you're in a relationship, you have a partner, and you have to be a partner, and that's that. So that's all I have to say about that one. Again, I told you guys I was going to blab on, and that's exactly what I did. All right, let's read this next confession. This person says, I've recently moved away for college, and I've never been super close with my family, but I'm really homesick and I miss my family. What is your advice? Okay, I really wanted to touch on this because I feel like our generation tends to forget where we came from. And I am so lucky to have an amazing family that I love so much, and they support me so much. And it's crazy because I saw this TikTok on my For You page that was saying how basically if you only see your family on Thanksgiving and Christmas every year, you're most likely to only see your family like 13 or 14 more times in your life. Because obviously our parents are older than us, and some people do only go home for the holidays or do only see their parents during the holidays. And that was just like a crazy realization that I had, that I'm so lucky and thankful that I'm super close to my family and I get to see my mom and my brothers once a month. And as you guys probably know, I did lose my dad. So family is just like super important to me, and they're super close to me. I love them so much. And I just see like so many of my friends argue with their parents, cuss at them, hang up on them, or even just like see an incoming call and like, oh, I'll like handle that later. And it just really, really irks me, because I would literally do anything for my mom. I've missed one phone call from her this entire year, and it was literally like 3 days ago, and I was like tripping about it. She FaceTimed me 3 times and my phone didn't even ring, and I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, are you okay? Like, I don't know, that's just like obviously a me thing. Like I will answer the phone, I will talk for hours, I will FaceTime my mom with any inconvenience or exciting news or anything. And it's just like, it makes me really sad when people kind of like neglect their family or like think that they're too cool for them. Like, I don't think any of that is cool at all. I honestly have like a huge issue with that. Yeah, maybe I'm like judging people, but if you judge someone about anything, I don't think that you would get hated on for judging someone about how they treat their family. But I do know that some situations are not good with their family, or they don't have family at all. And obviously this is different for everybody. And I always touch on my personal opinion. My dad's in heaven. Like, I don't, like, it's like the same kind of like thing. Like, you know, I'm not saying like call your parents every day, because some people don't have parents and that does suck. But also, it's never too late. I feel like if you do have problems with your parents, I would always just try your best to rekindle it. And it is sad, like some stories I've heard of like my friends who they're like, oh, I haven't spoken to my dad since I was 8, or people have really depressing, harmful stories that, I don't really want to touch on right now. But if you are just at college and you miss your family and you're homesick, just try to FaceTime as much as possible. Make time to go there more often. I would always send my mom flowers for her birthday. I Snapchat my little brother every single day so we can send videos or pictures. Any chance that they get, they can also come out here to LA. So calls and doing things that remind you of home. Say if you used to paint with your mom all the time, it would be nice to just go paint in the park or something, and you can send your mom a picture thinking about you, painting in the park, miss you so much. And I just feel stuff like that will just make your bond even better. It also just makes you appreciate your family so much more when you go away. And it's sad because it's I feel so many people are like this where they don't realize it until you move away, or I lose my dad and it's I barely got to spend any time with him, I feel so. Again, you could only maybe have 13 or 15 more visits with your family. So just make the most out of it. Hug your friends and family when you can. Yeah, I just wanted to definitely touch on this subject because I love my family and they mean everything to me. So that's enough for that confession. All right, this is the last confession for this episode. And again, if you guys want to be featured on my next podcast with your confession or advice, or, coming at me like my first episode, you guys can send an email to jordan@strawhutmedia.com. All right, let's get into this one. This is definitely a harder question. So it's about time that I talk to you guys about this because I touched on it, but some people just always want to know, and I always get this question, or this type of question. So here we go. I recently lost my mom and I don't know what to do. I feel like my whole life is falling apart, and I just wanted to tell you because I know you lost your dad and maybe I can just get some comfort out of this. Whew. Okay. So many people have lost someone in this lifetime, and I never really understood that until I went through it. Whether it's a best friend, a coworker, a boyfriend, a parent, it is just, especially your first one. I'm pretty sure that I will always it'll just be the same for me. But when you have your first person ever close to you die, be your dad, I was just not prepared for that at all. And I believe I was 19 at the time, and my little brother was 17. And I haven't talked about this in a long time, but I just always remember back to December of 2019. And especially if it's an accident, my family would just be swarmed with the what ifs and how it could have been different and what exactly would have happened. And you try to go step by step into the accident that had happened. And mine was, me and my mom lived in California, and my brother was at a dance, and my dad's bedroom was downstairs because Michigan has basements, and my dad would always shut the door if he went down to bed. So when my brother got home from the dance, he just realized that the door was shut, and he went upstairs and went to bed. The next morning, he came downstairs, made breakfast, got his laundry around, and opened the door and was walking downstairs to do his laundry. And he saw our dad at the bottom of the stairs, and he had fallen and been there since, they think, before midnight on December 7th. So it was just the craziest phone call. And that's, again, maybe why I take phone calls really seriously, because I had to find that out by a phone call. I was woken up to it in California, and my mom was just screaming, and my little brother just said, "I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Dad's," I don't even like to say it, but he would just keep saying Dad's, I'm so sorry. And then we're just what? And I for some reason, I feel I can always tell, I have this intuition about things. And literally, I could have paid you $1 million that I was so certain that nothing happened. There was not a single, maybe this is why, I didn't have a single feeling. I was told that. I didn't cry. I didn't freak out. I was literally no. It's I got this sign that he was okay. I just kept saying, no, what? Dad's okay. Dad's okay. I just kept saying, like, no, he's not. Like, Skylar, like, calm down. Like, he's okay. He probably fell asleep. I just, like, kept saying that. And I just remember my brother, like, giving him CPR, and he just said, he's cold. He's so cold. And that's when I was like, because in my head, like, if an accident happens, you know, he stopped breathing or maybe he fell, and it's something that the fire department can come and take him in an ambulance and get him to a hospital, and he's gonna pull through. He's gonna be okay. Like, that's for some reason why, like, what I always had, like, imagined. I just kept thinking, like, call 911, like, get an ambulance, get him to the hospital, like, we'll fly there. He's gonna be okay. Like, he's gonna pull through. And no, he was intoxicated, walked down the stairs, we think hit his head, fell, and died instantly. And yeah, so I mean, like, I just wanted to, like, touch on, like, my story before, like, people continue to ask. But no, he, like I said earlier, like, you would just do so many what ifs. That's why I don't drink. I really think I'll never drink. I used to judge everyone around me who drank too. And that's one thing I've worked on, and I feel like I'm better at. If my friend ordered, like, a glass of wine at dinner, it would literally put me into the worst mood. And I'd be like, why is someone so, like, heartless? Like, why would they do that in front of me? Like, why? I was just, like, so, like, angry about it for, like, 2 years. My picture of alcohol was like, someone's getting a drink, they're gonna get drunk, and then something bad's gonna happen. Like, that's kind of how, like, my mind was. And I've since healed a little bit and fixed that, worked on that alone, and it has taken so long to, like, stop the what ifs and all of those negative thoughts that went into that day. And what's always helped me get through that hard time in my life was I would always put in my mind, what would my dad want me to do? He would want me to continue. He was so proud of me. He was, like, the best dad ever. I remember I would have, like, a magazine, and I'd be on the cover, and my dad would he, like, literally couldn't even work a phone, but for some reason he would be able to order my, like, products or my magazine. If there's one thing he's gonna figure out, it'd be, like, how to get my picture on his phone. And he would go to the grocery store and he would just hold it, like, while he's shopping, and he'd tell the cashier, like, this is my daughter, and look at her, and these are all her pictures. And for a while I was the face of Mud Jeans. So he would go to Kohl's, and he would just go in there to tell the workers to walk to those sections and point at the pictures of me. And every time he would send me a picture and be like, hey, Jord, like, showing them your pictures. And so that really helped me get out of, oh, I don't want to do anything for the next day or the next year of my life. I just want to, like, sulk, and I don't feel like doing anything. It was like, no, my dad would want me to do those things. That's some advice to tell you, is, like, try to think of, like, what your mom or anyone that has, like, passed away, like, what they would want you to do, because I guarantee you the last thing that they'd want you to do is to give up on your dreams. And the moral of the story is to just keep your family close, hug your loved ones, call your friends, try to just think positively. As much as that seems like it's so hard to do right now, your friends are there for you, and I'm here for you. You'll get through this, even though it sounds like it's not even an option right now. So, yeah. Thanks for watching today's episode or listening on all streaming platforms. Again, you guys can send your anonymous emails into jordan@strawhutmedia.com. And again, if you guys want me to set up the hotline, please let me know on the YouTube comments or in my Instagram DMs. And I'll see you guys next week with a new episode. Bye!
You've been listening to the Jordan Jones Podcast. Jordan's passion is to inspire, relate, and give you that much-needed 1-hour escape from life's everyday struggles. Your family, and we're so glad you're here. Make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Jordan Jones. Jordyn. This production is brought to you by Straw Hut Media, hosted by Jordan Jones, produced by Ryan Tillotson, edited by Daniel Ferreira. Additional production help by Carolyn Mendoza, Ali Ahmed, and Samir Gonchi. Keep shining bright like the diamond you are, and see you next time on the Jordan Jones Podcast.